everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Today, we've got a Chicago Bulls related video referring to the game reaction between the Bulls and the Hornets in one of the best offensive games the Chicago Bulls have provided all year. Balanced scoring, balanced ball movement, extremely wide open shots, and the Chicago Bulls walked away with a great victory under their belt against a formidable foe in the Charlotte Hornets, who also had a fairly good game in my opinion. Two of the best offensive talents in the NBA going at it, the LaMelo and Lonzo Ball, the brothers going at it. It was just a fantastic game. The energy was up, the crowd was up for the Chicago Bulls, and I'm just very happy we got a win under our belt today. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls game today against the Charlotte Hornets. We won this game 133-119. Offense is the key word for both of these teams, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, the Charlotte Hornets entered this game as one of the best offensive teams in the NBA, and clearly you can see why, with their ability to make some really good three-point shots, and of course, their ability to make some very good passes, and of course, all of that being said, they definitely had a great game today, in my opinion, in the Charlotte Hornets. But the Bulls just had another level to go up to. We saw some big contributions from the bench to the starters to some players that have not been performing very well. It was all around a terrific performance from the Chicago Bulls. And just when we needed that extra gear to go up to when it comes to getting our offense going, the Chicago Bulls delivered today in a lot of ways. First of all, not many isolation plays. Specifically, I'm very happy with Zach LaVine today for his ability not to chuck up a lot of terrible shots. Obviously, DeMar DeRozan is an isolation player, so he will have isolation plays called for him. But nevertheless, a lot of our ball movement today was phenomenal for the team, and you have to give credit to the Chicago Bulls for the way that they're learning how to play. At the end of the day, it's still a very early on in the season, and I said in that Miami Heat game, there's a lot to learn in terms of off-ball movement, in terms of cutting to the basket, backdoor cuts, just cutting straight to the ring. If there's a post, cutting into the post, all of that situation. And I thought we did a lot better of a job today moving without the ball compared to other games in the past. And that was a big reason why we got a lot of points in the paint. It's a big reason why we got a lot of easy shots. It's a big reason why when we did cut into the paint, there were open three-point shooters everywhere else, so we're able to make their shots today. It was a fantastic performance and a fantastic team performance for the Chicago Bulls. And it shows in their scoring, it shows in their assist numbers, it shows in their points in the paint. I believe we out-rebounded them as well. It was just a really strong game from the Chicago Bulls all the way around. We almost had every single quarter scoring 30 points in the quarter. Obviously, the fourth quarter we scored 29, so we can't really have that accolade under our belt. But it goes to show when we have an offensive night like this, it does rely on ball movement. It relies on every single player getting involved in all four quarters. And I thought today was a much better job in doing that compared to the Miami Heat game. And obviously, the Miami Heat is a terrific defensive team. Charlotte still has to fight in their way defensively. I think we can see that from today's game. But they're still a very talented team, and a talented team we just got to win over. So I'm very happy for the Chicago Bulls today. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the individual performances today. Let's look at the Chicago Bulls game. Let's look at who had strong games, who had relatively weak games. We're going to be talking a lot about offense today because that was the key for the Chicago Bulls. Again, something else I want to say before we get into that, playing out of a zone is still an issue for the Chicago Bulls. As much as there is positives to everything that we do, the negatives still have to be brought up. Playing out of a zone, Charlotte came back into the game because of a zone. So the reality is for the Chicago Bulls, we still need to continue to learn how to play out of zones. And one of the things I have advice for I guess the coaching staff of the team, and again, I'm no expert in the NBA, but in my opinion, as soon as a team plays a zone, you got to bring Lonzo Ball into the game, because I feel like Lonzo Ball is the player that can create something out of a zone. Again, point guards are the ones that are often there to break down what the NBA defense does. We have played a lot of situations where we are in a zone. when teams are in the zone against us, and especially when they're trying to come back in a game and they realize that they have to play zone for a couple of minutes. In my opinion, that's when Lonzo Ball needs to get into the fray, and Lonzo Ball needs to create something. Because in my opinion, when Lonzo Ball is in the team, I think the zone of other teams can be crumbled. And I don't think you see that with DeMar DeRozan. I don't think you see that with Alex Caruso at times. I think Lonzo Ball is the guy that you have to go to try and battle out of a zone. He has the ability to shoot the three-pointer, and he's also someone that has a very unique specialty when it comes to playmaking. He can throw lobs. He can make sure that the zone does crumble. So there we go. That's something I did want to say as well. Now let's look at the individual performances. Starting off, we're going to start off with Javonte Green. That had 4 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, shooting 66% from the field, only 3 shots taken today. Javonte Green is as good as you can possibly ask for in terms of energy. I like the fact that he got 3 assists. Again, he's someone that I don't expect major assists from, but once he gets to 3 to 4 assists per game, that's a really good contribution from Javonte Green, because he's the 5th option in the starting lineup, and you can clearly see that with the way that the starting lineup scored today. Javonte Green was the guy that just brought the energy, brought some rebounding, and just had to play very hard to get his own stats on the board. So I thought he had a good game today. Defensively, as key, he's always been a very solid defender. I think he suits the starting lineup a lot more than Alex Caruso. And I know Alex Caruso is a really good player, probably better than Javonte Green. I think we can all say that. But Alex Caruso provides something we desperately need off of that bench. And I thought it was a big mistake for some of those games to start Alex Caruso. And I think Javonte Green is the right way to go from now on. Speaking of, what a game from Nikola Vucevic, ladies and gentlemen. 35 minutes played, he had 30 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists with 2 blocks under his belt. Ladies and gentlemen, what a game from Nikola Vucevic. And I think coming into this, a lot of people did say that Nikola Vucevic plays well against the Charlotte Hornets. He's had a lot of double-doubles against them. He does score because they have a very bad size issue in relation to the Charlotte Hornets. Again, that's something that we do have as well, but they don't really have someone like Nikola Vucevic on their team that does provide a post presence, a presence in the paint. And then again, he got himself going in the paint first. The biggest thing to take out of that, he got himself going in the paint, and the Bulls were looking for him in the paint first. And once that got into his rhythm, he did not miss a three-pointer, ladies and gentlemen. He was 6 from 6. He got a nice buzzer beater to end the halftime break. And it was just a fantastic game from Nikola Vucevic. Once his offense started going, I thought he had a fantastic defensive display in the second half. Obviously, the first half was a big worry, but he was fantastic today. He was absolutely phenomenal. And again, I don't expect 30 points from Vucevic every night, but if he can get to the 15 to 18 point mark every single night with the efficiency that he has, shooting 63% from the field, that's going to be fantastic for the Bulls every single night. It adds another layer to our offense, adds another person that can break the defense down. It's someone that can break a zone once again, and he's just been fantastic this game. And hopefully this is that momentum builder, because we've got really tough games heading into the next couple of days with the Knicks and the Nets. Tough games there, and we need Nikola Vucevic to play at a high level, and hopefully this will be the driving factor to start that. Zach LaVine had 25 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists in today's game. Not terrific from the three-point line. Zach LaVine, 2 from 7 from the three-point line. In the first half, I enjoyed Zach LaVine so much. And the reality is, Zach LaVine, granted he had 25, 6, and 5 tonight, Zach LaVine was a playmaker at heart in today's game. He didn't need to look for shots or search for shots in terms of the game. At the end of the day, he is a really good shot maker, and the flow of the offense came to him for the majority. He did take some tough shots, and those tough shots were missed big time today. But at the end of the day, you can't argue. He was mainly trying to get other players involved. He tried to get the ball to Nikola Vucevic as much as possible, and his shots came from driving into the paint, getting some good layups, getting some good dunks, getting to the foul line. 3 from 4 from Zach LaVine from the foul line today. This is what Zach LaVine did good. This is what Zach LaVine does. And when Zach LaVine's in a playmaking mode, his shots will come to him at any given time. This team is too talented for Zach LaVine to not drop points. But when he becomes a playmaker, that's a dangerous element to his game that I think the Chicago Bulls can use a lot more. At the end of the day, we're going to have to wait and see. He's someone that I didn't think forced the isolation as much, which is a big step in the right direction for me as well. DeMar DeRozan, 28 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, shooting 60% from the field today. Again, when you're seeing Nikola Vucevic drop 30, when you see Zach LaVine drop 25, when you see DeMar DeRozan dropping 28, that's a really hard team in total to beat. Very, very rarely will you see nights where the Chicago Bulls lose when those 3 players are scoring the way they do. Now, DeMar DeRozan was a big isolation player today, and he took some tough shots in terms of the game today. He took some really tough shots, and the difference is between complaining about it and talking about it in a positive light is that he made those shots. And not to mention, he's also another player that did get his teammates open with 6 assists in today's game. I'm not going to talk too much about DeMar DeRozan in a negative light today. We all know he's an isolation player, and we all know, depending on game to game, we'll either be talking about him in a frustrating tone or we'll be praising him for making those shots, because those shots were well needed. Granted, no matter how high up we were in this game in terms of the margin, the Charlotte Hornets offense is just as good as ours. They were fantastic offensively today. So every shot that DeMar DeRozan made is a shot that we needed. So I'm not going to complain about it. Obviously, there were tough shots. They're shots that I don't want to see every single night. But tonight, he did make them. Lonzo Ball, 16 points, 1 rebound, 8 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. The referees today did not allow to have any fun in relation to this game in terms of the Ball brothers. LaMelo Ball, foul trouble. Lonzo Ball, foul trouble. Half the fouls Lonzo Ball got into was not a foul in my opinion. The referees definitely don't want any fun to happen, don't want the narrative to be played. They need to let these guys play. Lonzo Ball's a terrific defensive player, and Lonzo Ball is someone that knows when to foul and when not to foul. And I don't think half of the fouls that he had today were fouls. I really don't believe so. And again, that could be a bias in me talking, but I just don't believe it. I don't believe that he fouled as much as he did today. And obviously Lonzo Ball, a fantastic 3-point shooting night for him. 4 from 5 from the 3-point line, 6 from 8 in total. Again, he was versing his brother today. LaMelo Ball also had a good game in the second half. I thought in the first half LaMelo Ball was a very poor performer, but he did pick it up massively in the second half for the Hornets. But Lonzo Ball, in my opinion, if you're asking me who had the better game between the two, I think LaMelo has the better stats, but Lonzo played the better game, because I thought defensively he was really solid tonight for the Chicago Bulls. And obviously his role as a spot-up shooter at times worked out very effectively for the team. We know what he can do. We know he's a lethal 3-point shooter, and 8 assists to follow along with it as well. He's a really gifted playmaker as well. Having those long-range passes, both of the Ball brothers today are exceptional at playing the long ball into the other team's paint and just getting easy buckets from there. A really, really solid game from Lonzo Ball, in my opinion, as well. Moving into the bench, ladies and gentlemen, we got Alex Caruso that had 14 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists with a block in today's game. Again, defense was key, and he's improving so much in his scoring. At the end of the day, 14 points and 7 assists is a beautiful bench performance from any player you could ever ask for, and that is something I'm very, very proud of when it comes to Alex Caruso. Another phenomenal performance. He was making some really tough shots. He got to the foul line, 3 from 6 from the foul line today, and not to mention we could have had a much better game if players were making their free throws consistently today. That's probably the worst free throw performance I've seen from the Bulls this season, but nevertheless we didn't need to have the amount of free throws that we did to win the game, which is great to see. But Alex Caruso shot 71% from the field, so that's a big step up from what you saw 2 weeks ago and last week. Obviously he had that wrist injury. I'm sure that does play a factor when it comes to scoring, but he's had a really strong couple of games in terms of efficiency from the field, and that's well needed for this team, and we have to keep on seeing it. Kobe White had 8 points and 3 rebounds. This is not a great game offensively from Kobe White. 2 from 7 from the field, 28% from the field, 1 from 4 from the 3-point line. But again, he closed out the game very nicely for the Bulls, in my opinion. He had strong defense. He ended up getting some good 3-point shots. He had 1 good 3-point shot in the fourth quarter. He got to the paint a little bit. Fast break from Lonzo Ball's pass. I thought it was a really weird decision to see Kobe White kind of close the game out. in the fourth quarter, the way that he did. He was the only bench player playing with the starters, but at the end of the day, he delivered when it mattered the most. He was the player that got out on the fast break. He got into the paint. He made a three-pointer. He was big in terms of the fourth quarter today, but again, it's still not a strong game from Coby White. I could still see a lot better coming from him in the future. We have to continue to persist with Coby White, be a little bit more patient, and see what he can come up with on a consistent basis. Then we got Derrick Jones Jr., 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. At the end of the day, he only played 14 minutes, and I can clearly understand why he played 14 minutes today. Nikola Vucevic was just so damn good today that we didn't really use another center to play in this game. Derrick Jones Jr. was the backup center, but he barely got game time because of just how good Nikola Vucevic was. But again, for 14 points, 4 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, it's not too shabby for Derrick Jones Jr. I think he could do a little bit better, but at the end of the day, it was just not the game for him to really step out. Ayo Dosunmu had 4 points and 2 rebounds. I think you can clearly start to see that with Coby White coming in and Alex Caruso playing the way that he's playing, Ayo is only getting limited minutes once again. It's something I don't want to see because I truly think Ayo, again, he shot 66% from the field. He made a really good three-pointer from the corner. I truly 100% in my heart believe Coby White and Ayo can play together. I don't want it to be one or the other, and it's slowly starting to become one or the other. So I don't want that to be the case, but obviously we have so many guards that are playing. It turns out that is going to end up being the case for the Chicago Bulls. Hopefully it won't in the future, but as of today, that seems to be the direction it's going down. Looking at the must improve for the Chicago Bulls, again, when you have an offensive display like this, I don't feel it's necessary to give too much of a must improve. I thought everybody played a role in the way that the Bulls won today. The starters were absolutely phenomenal. The bench did its thing. Again, the bench had a really decent scoring night compared to other nights. Caruso with 14 points. Obviously, Coby White with 8 points. That leads to 22. Then you got Derrick Jones Jr. that had 4 points, 26 points, and then Ayo, that's 30 points from the bench today, if my math is correct, and most of the time it's not. So if I did make a mistake, oh well, it is what it is. So no must improve for me today, but the player of the game is going to go to Big Vooch. Big Vooch deserves a player of the game performance today. Again, playmaking was phenomenal. His defense in the second half was phenomenal. His scoring was absolutely sensational today. This is the game for Nikola Vucevic that I hope can carry him over into future games. Unfortunately, against the Dallas Mavericks, he ended up having something in the health and safety protocols, COVID, whatever the case may be, that stopped him from being a really strong center going forward into that West Coast trip. And I feel like we could have seen a little bit better from Vucevic consistently if he did not go out for health and safety protocols. But he's back now, and this is the game that I hope can continue to carry that momentum. He always plays well against the Hornets, it looks like. Today was no different. Today he was phenomenal. Today he was an all-star, and today he's my player of the game. Fantastic performance. The Bulls' record is 14-8. We've got to understand where we are, ladies and gentlemen. Just remember, we've had one of the hardest schedules in the NBA so far this season. Our November stretch has been tremendously hard for the Chicago Bulls, and at the end of the day, we will see a little bit of an easier stretch down in January and February and whatever the case may be over there. But we are sticking with the pack with the schedule that we have. There are not many teams out there in the NBA that's had as hard as a schedule in the early goings of the NBA season as us, and we're still in the pack. We're still fighting with teams, competing with teams, and staying up as one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. As much as it sucks that we have lost some good opportunities, games against the Rockets, for example, and as much as we would like to see the Bulls play better on a consistent level, we are still in the pack and we're still fighting for the top spots in the Eastern Conference with really tough competition. So I'm very, very happy with the Chicago Bulls progression so far, and it's all about consistency now, in my opinion. We keep up the consistency in our ball movement, I think we're going to be a really tough team to beat, especially when players like Vooch, Levine, DeRozan, Lonzo, all those players, Caruso, even Coby White, if they're all firing on all cylinders, we're a really tough team to beat. And our next game, we've got a couple of days off. Finally, for the Bulls, we've got a couple of days off. We play, for me, it's Friday. I believe for you guys, it's going to be Thursday. It's going to be against the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden. We versed the Knicks twice already. We will verse the Hornets a couple of more times as well, so stay tuned for that. We versed the Knicks twice already. This is the 3 out of 4 games. Hopefully, we can end up coming into this game, winning this game, and having that 2-1 advantage against them. The New York Knicks are always going to be a tough defensive team. I'm not sure what's going on with their starters at the moment, but nevertheless, they are a team that on their night can really stop any team offensively in the NBA with their defense. They are a really strong defensive team, and we have to keep that in mind entering away from home against the Knicks, and hopefully we can win a really important game there. This is going to be a good stretch of rest for the Chicago Bulls. The first time in a long time. It's been a grueling couple of weeks for the Chicago Bulls. It's been a grueling couple of weeks for me as well, trying to upload consistently when there's so many back-to-backs and all of that. It's been a tough week for everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Tough 2 weeks. But we've still come out of it fairly positively, and hopefully we can continue to see that. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Have a wonderful and safe day, Bulls Nation. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and